Please, come in. Take a seat. I've been expecting you. Welcome to Monday Night Live, aka the Hangout Stream, but also known as the Chill Stream. In the year of our Lord, for August 1st, 2022, and brought to you, yes, you watching me, watching you, watching me, ooh, wee, yes, sirree, by yours truly, the man, broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com. Or there's another option. We like free will around here. Simply Google this name and you can find out. For those of you who already know, welcome to the show. Go ahead, drop me a comment, say hello. No need to be shy. I just like to know who took the time to stop by. And for the rest of you who don't know, because perhaps you're new, that's okay too. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. See, as far as I'm concerned, this is your show, which means no gatekeeping, as I fill the role of producer. So I come on here 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. Pacific, every Monday night, and I boot up this live stream so we all can come together, readers and writers alike. And you guys supply me with things to talk about. And in return, I fulfill my role and I raise awareness for various projects from around the underground scene. Gives me an opportunity to become acquainted with you. You get an opportunity to get to know me. And together, we discover what's going down within the realm of independent publishing. Gabish? Which brings me right into my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books that are currently available or coming soon to an online marketplace near you. So, without further ado, from the writers of Twitter comes Samuel Southwell. Samuel writes, in a world where the undead rule the streets, death follows your every move, and time is all you have, the fate of humanity rests in the hands of the scattered survivors. And this is from his book Dread by Samuel D. Southwell. If you have a book on the market, you can get in contact with me. I usually do writer's lifts on Twitter. You can catch me on one of those or contact me through any of my social medias or on Discord. You can write me there or just simply share the link or give me the title and the pen name of the author. So all I ask is that you are sharing your own work and nobody else's. So everybody speaks on their own behalf. Okay. The blurb is this short one. Pretty much just the same thing as the tweet. I'll just say it again. It says, in a world where the undead rule the streets, death follows your every move, and time is all you have. The fate of humanity rests in the hands of the scattered survivors. And goes on to say, may God have mercy on us all. That is Dread. It's a novella length, 89 pages, and it's actually classified under horror. Believe it or not. It's not contemporary romance. All right, next up. This one comes from The King on Stamford Bridge. He says, Happy Odin's Day. Fight hard, die well, leave a name worthy of song. This is the way to Valhalla, boy. Based on the true story of the greatest Viking hero in history. And this is in Brent Jordan's The Viking on Stamford Bridge, a heroic saga. Here's the blurb. Inspired by the true story of the lone Viking who single-handedly repelled an entire Saxon army. His life, loves, hopes, dreams, fears, and the shocking conclusion to this uncommon act of love and valor. On September 25th, 1066, the last great Viking battle for England was fought when 15,000 Saxons surprised a small contingent of invading Norsemen at Stamford Bridge. The Saxons had the advantage of overwhelming numbers and were well on their way to an easy victory when, before the two armies could engage, a lone Viking, a berserker of immense stature, took to the bridge with his battle axe and single-handedly repelled the entire Saxon army while reinforcements were called up from Rickhall, 9 miles away. The lone Viking's feat is recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. I have to say, those Saxons must have been some real pussies. One dude, seriously? Am I supposed to believe that? But there was one of the Norwegians who withstood the English folk so that they could not cross the bridge nor complete the victory. To this day, it stands as the greatest one-man stand in history. He went full clutch. But who was this lone Viking, and how did he achieve such a feat? Why did he do it? The Viking on Stamford Bridge tells the extraordinary story of this Norseman, from his upbringing as a child beneath the harsh hand of a renowned warrior, to a tradesman, loving husband and father, to the hero who stood alone against an army. Sounds like a compelling tale. 299 pages of historical Norse and Icelandic fiction. Viking. All right, Sarah Geringer from Twitter. She writes, life and death, love and hate, truth and lies, dreams and nightmares, sacrifice and peace. All things must come to an end. Star Child, Book 3, the final volume. Pre-order now. So on pre-order, usually when it's if it's a first timer and you're requesting like a third book in a trilogy or some other book in a series, usually I'll read the blurb for book 1 for those who are assuming that those watching are unfamiliar. But just know that book 3 is available now on pre-order. I'm looking at the page. It's actually let me bring up the banner. Star Child by Sarah M. Geringer. Star Child. Book 3 set to be released October 1st, 2022. So plenty of time to get caught up. Let's check out book 1. Read the blurb for that. See what this series is about. Mm-hmm. All right. Star Child. Just the other day, Jewel Gray was an average 16-year-old girl with no clear plan for her future. Today, she is Princess Jewel Isaiah, a 17-year-old star child, a being of unimaginable power, both hated and feared by the people she is destined to save after assuming a throne she doesn't even want. Sounds like a bit of a chosen one type of story. Let's read on a little bit more in the synopsis here. On the day of her 17th birthday, Jewel Gray's life changed forever. Not only was the man who raised her not her real father, but she isn't even a normal human being. She's a star child, a being born from an illicit union between a moon child and a sun child who were said to have incredible and uncontrollable power. And if that wasn't enough, it turns out her birth father is the ruler of a kingdom in a completely separate realm from her own called Isaiah. Now she is to become the next queen and spark a revolution to change that world for the better, whether she wants to or not. Sounds like she has no choice in the matter. All right, one more book. Let's get in here. One thing I've been thinking about, contemplating, well, maybe I'll get into it in a little bit here. Let's get one more book in before we start doing a little bit of chit chat. Boom. From Asa Rodriguez. He writes, do you really believe death is the end? What if it's not? What if it's a new beginning? Pre-order now, only 99 cents. This is his book. The Book of First Witchcraft, which is actually Benjamin Jones' Book 3 by Asa Rodriguez. And I don't believe, just like the other one, I'm pretty sure I haven't covered this series before. So first, let me check it out, see what the link is, what link I have here. Okay, so it says Benjamin Jones issue 3, but I will I suppose I will go ahead and read this one, as I believe it's more of a serialized type of fiction. Let's see. This one's on, actually, this one is available now. It's available now. 3 of 3 of the Benjamin Jones. Yeah, let's try book 1. It says 3 of 3. Let's try book 1 first. So I don't think I've covered this one before. I would just know that there are 3 books in the series so far that are available. So we'll take that one off because we'll be covering book 1. Actually, I could fix that up. Here we go. So this was entitled Benjamin Jones, The Call of the Shaman by Asa Rodriguez. Here's the blurb. Is darkness falling upon the face of earth? And we got a little blurb here, quote, a page-turning debut in the tradition of Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson, The Olympians, mixed with J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Asa Rodriguez's The Call of the Shaman is a unique YA novel packed with great mystery and adventure. Okay. Let's take a look at that cover. All right, there it is. When Ben meets Adit, a spiritual author and guru, he starts on an adventure to find out his shamanic roots, his magic, and his link to a wicked necromancer. This epic story begins about 5,000 years ago in Sumeria, as they came from outer space. Ancient gods, ascended masters, beings of light, above all war and fear. Ben, a 12-year-old orphan boy born in the 1890s, must discover himself what happened to his parents, his shamanic powers, and legacy. He might be the reincarnation of an ancient demigod, a wolf boy hero emerging from ancient Sumeria. But what is really the connection he has with the gods? That is the mystery to uncover here. And this quest won't be easy, because there will be dark forces, ghouls, necro creatures, curses, and much more against him. In this quest, joined by his friends, he will also be guided by visions of his father, a great shaman, and he will have to recover a sacred artifact called the Sphere of Truth and Wisdom. This orb holds the wisdom and magic of all shamans past. This orb also holds the capacity to open a portal into the spiritual world. And then we go into some more praise for the Benjamin Jones series. Targeted age group 12 to 18. So I'm not sure if this is some more of a middle grade type book. 252 pages. I did say YA. Coming of age. A lot going on in this, I have to say. Also, I will just mention that I'm not really a fan of, I mean, I know it's just, well, where's the quote? It doesn't even, in this quote at the beginning where it said page turning debut, comparing it to Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and then also Harry Potter. That quote doesn't actually say who said it. So I just have to say it's an anonymous quote comparing an indie book. Well, I say indie book as if that's lesser. It's not that it's lesser. It's just that I don't really care for authors in general comparing themselves to other like well-known authors as like a marketing or advertising, well, as a marketing strategy, I suppose. I would just say stand behind your own work and just let the work speak for itself. It'd be one thing if somebody else is saying that. So like say for instance, if somebody reviews your book and then they say, well, if you like this, well then maybe you'll like this. Or if you like that, then you'll probably like this. That's completely different because it's somebody who's read that work and also read your work, and they're just making a comparison based on their own comprehension or their own perspective on the work. Whereas just having an anonymous quote just seems a little bit sus to me, just saying. So that's it for the books for this week. Like I say, get in contact with me on social media. I post on Twitter weekly that I'm doing writers lifts. So get in on that action. If you want to be mentioned on the show, you will be added to the queue and I will eventually get to you. But for me, this is more about engagement and interaction. So what I would ideally like is if you are getting involved to try to make the live stream. If you can't make the live stream, you're always welcome to watch the replay. I do have the replay. I do keep the replays up on the channel for video on demand feature. You can always watch it later on. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think about different things. If you got suggestions, if you want to leave a link to your own books, that's cool. Now we'll get into some announcements, what I call the special announcements, but also it's not just announcements, it's announcements, projects, and events segment, also AKA APE for short. So announcements, let me just state that, you know, this could be involved, like if you have special deals that you would like me to announce or share on the live stream, you have like a book related type announcement. It also, if you are an indie publisher, you run a blog, you run a small press, and you have submission calls, that's something that I personally am interested in. So please share those if you have those. And not only to for me to share them on the live stream, but also so that I may be aware of what's going on, special projects that are going out there that I myself might be able to get involved with. And also some events, special events. If you're going to have like giveaways as an author or something like that going on, or if you're looking for beta readers, or if you're looking for people to sign up for advanced reader copies of your upcoming book. But also, it isn't just for the realm of literature, but also I know that there are people out there in the comic book. Indie comic books are on the rise. I am aware of that there's a whole thing called Comic Book Gate or Comics Gate or something like that, where indie comic books are becoming more prevalent. And a lot of projects are crowdfunded through Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So if you have a Kickstarter event, or you have an Indiegogo, you have a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign currently going on, I want to know about it. You can just get in contact with me through my social medias. I'm doing this Again, for the engagement, I'm trying to become more engaged with my peers within the creative sphere. So you can share that information with me, and I will pass it along through my live stream and cover your campaign that way. So this week, just a little bit of housekeeping. That's all we have. No special, nothing out of the ordinary. LFLR Network is on Discord. Joining the Discord means there isn't any expectations of you. It's just a hub where you can go. Instead of following me on Twitter, say you're not even on Twitter, you don't do Facebook anymore, because, I mean, let's be honest, no one's really active on Facebook anymore. But you can join the Discord. Say you don't always have time to catch the live streams either, or the time to watch the full replays. Another way is to become involved in the Discord. The Discord has a place for creative individuals to share their links, share their projects, so that I may easily just log into the Discord, see who is sharing what, and then I can turn around and bring that content directly onto the live stream for a later show and bring it to people's awareness. And at the same time, it's the same, I would consider it the same deal as interacting with me here live on the YouTube channel. And also, speaking of writers, and you want to expand your creative portfolio, the Storytellers Society is accepting open submissions still over at livefreeliverich.com. Go ahead, click the networks tab, because it is in coordination with Live Free Live Rich Entertainment. You just click the networks tab, scroll down. There's a spot on there for writer submissions. So writer submissions. We're looking for flash fiction specifically. Could be vignettes as well, but I would really like to see you guys exercise your storytelling muscle, if you will, and write a piece of flash fiction around 1,500 words. It could be as short as 500 words, no shorter, and as long as 2,000 words, no more. And any genre is acceptable. And if approved, then you will book yourself a room at the Hotel del SS, where all the members of the Storytellers Society stay. And not only that, not only is your work published for free for viewing online, and I take care of all the marketing after that and advertising as far as the content that you contribute, but also everyone who is, as far as a member of the Storyteller Society whose work has been approved through this project, will be eligible for future projects down the road once I'm ready to kind of bring this specific project to the next phase of its of the vision that I have. And that is it for project announcements. If you guys will excuse me, I heard my AC went out, so I'm going to have to go reset that real quick, and I will be right back. What's this? Solo layout. We do this. How come what is this? Okay. I know there's some way to do avatar. I don't know. We'll be right back. And we're back. I should have done something like this. All right. We are at about a half hour. Let's see what's going on. We have now, we'll get into a little bit of reading time. Reading time. So this is the part where you guys make submissions or contributions to the live stream. You want me to plug your blog, your Kindle Vella. This could be this could be a piece of writing that of your writing. It could be an essay, an editorial, like you could have read a book and then wrote an editorial piece on said book, and I'll read that. It could be a piece of poetry or flash fiction. I'll read it live on the show. And this one we have, let's see what we have here. So one thing, that's what I was talking about earlier was, before I get into this, I was thinking about doing special guests, having like a guest host of some sort. Maybe start, reaching out to some folks and see if they'd be interested in being a guest host on the show. And we have, I'd be on, but I also would have a guest host on the live stream with me. Not getting a lot of traffic, not getting a lot of viewership. Like I say, not sure if it's because it's Monday nights or what, but I feel like this would be a lot more exciting to do if I actually had people in the chat and people were engaging in the program. So it's like you guys sharing your opinions, and then we could have a back and forth on things, and it's not just simply me just basically just covering products, like just different people's products. Like it's actually like there's some engagement and people, and we're creating conversation, and there's a back and forth. Like that's kind of the reason why I started this whole thing. So I think that maybe to kind of like inspire that conversation, because a lot of it, I know it's difficult because not a lot of people are like me on the internet and are willing to jump onto live streams and actually like just start engaging in chat at random with strangers. A lot of people are weary about engaging with strangers online, and I get that to a certain degree. Me, I'm not afraid of that. That's never really bothered me because a stranger on the internet is just that, just stranger on the internet. Really, I'm not, like, for me, I'm not afraid of talking to strangers in real life, engaging in conversation. That is, it's not that, getting too personal about things, and that's just it, is knowing where to draw the line. And I feel like maybe if I can kind of get some people that get some other content creators so gets involved with some other content creators and see if they wouldn't be interested in jumping on and doing a special live stream, maybe one Monday, well, not one Monday, but just a show in particular with me, and kind of just get some different people involved and see if I can't generate a little bit more interest for the live stream. Doing these solo is not a problem for me. That's not what I have an issue with. I don't have an issue at all with doing these shows solo. It's literally no problem for me to get in front of a camera and just talk. But the thing is having the lack of engagement is not really that fun for me, to be honest. Just doing this and there's no engagement and no one showing any interest. It's not really motivating. It doesn't really like inspire me to want to work harder. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. And it's not like, oh, woe is me. And like, that is kind of my job. I understand that's my job, is to try and get the eyeballs. But I mean, there's also a fine line too, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, on one hand, you have people that are like, oh, don't put on a big, huge show for the camera. Just be yourself and this and that. But then on the same time, on that same aspect, it's like, yeah, but if you're lame and like, if you're just, if you're literally just a normal, if you're just like a normal person that like say, for instance, like I could step outside and like see like 100 people that literally act just like that at the grocery store. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really going to that's really not going to keep people's attention for that long. So it's like a fine line. It's kind of a balance of the two. You gotta have somewhat of a personality to you. You can't be like a pet rock in front of a camera and just you got to kind of flare it up a little bit, but at the same time, you don't like for instance, on my end, like I also don't want to feel like I'm a juggling monkey for the camera. You know what I mean? Dancing monkey. It's really not like, it could be fun. Say, for instance, it could be fun sometimes to get a little goofy, get a little silly, but maybe not always in the mood. You're not always in the mood to turn on like that and put on such a display. But I digress. We'll see. I have some more ideas. We'll keep it going for now. Like I say, I do this for you guys. If you don't want this, I mean, that's one thing. But I'm going to continue to try to reach out, try to get more people involved, because I feel like if we build this up and it turns into a platform, well, then it's going to help out everybody that's involved, whether it be the creators, the people who are sharing on here. It helps me out with building the YouTube channel, but at the same time, it's more about connecting with my peers and building a network of sorts of people who are interested in being, building their professional portfolios and interacting with each other. And it's a benefit to one another as creatives, because it's like the effort that I put in on this helps everybody that I'm featuring on the show. The more people that I can interact with, and then people who, for instance, because I know that like artists and creators, not a lot of them, but very introverted type folks. and not everybody has the gumption or like the guts to kind of just put themselves out there the way that I am right now on camera. Not very many people are willing to do that. And this is why this is something that I'm doing. I say this is something that I'm doing for you guys. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a kill two birds with one stone thing. You help me, help you. The more you help me, the more it helps you in that way. And it's not just about me, because like I've said before, I've urged other content creators to kind of start taking this route as well. Offer something, just offer something back to the community in some way. In other words, it's cool. You want to pimp your stuff, advertise and market your stuff. That's great. That's great. Trust me, as an indie artist, I know that marketing is a pain in the ass, but I encourage you to offer something, just some way or resource, of whether it be, even if it's just a blog and you accept guest posts or something, submissions, contributions of some shape, fashion, or form. We can begin to synergize with one another, and we can help each other out through our own individual efforts. It can begin to swell up and create a whole network of individuals that could actually be quite a powerful marketing tool. Or you can just continue to shell out unlimited dollars, if that's what you have, to, big tech companies for advertising. I mean, that's always a route that you can take as well. I, quite frankly, think that's a waste of money, and all you're doing is you're encouraging that type of nonsense, because I do think that that's what that is. Tech companies, social media companies, they just want your money. That's what it's been from the get-go. They just, they sucker people into, but they had to sucker people into getting involved with it. So once they get enough heads involved with it, then they they pull the old bait and switch, and they start screwing with what everybody calls the algorithms. And the algorithms, that's really just like, it's BS, really. I mean, let's face it, social media is nonsense. You should have your own type of blog on the side, which I'm about to get into the reading time here. But you should have like your own type of blog on the side that you're developing, because effectively that is also what social media is. People who spend a lot of time on social media and they're just posting, they put post after post after post on social media. Think of that as like a little mini blog. And really all they're doing is every time they put a little post on social media, they're boosting that social media's not only the reach of the social media, but the visibility of the social media itself on all types of search engines by doing that. So think about the amount of times, seriously, think about the amount of times you write a post on social media, and God forbid you're actually posting like thought-provoking and very reflective type content, and you're posting that on social media. Like you're kind of like, it's kind of a wasted effort in a way. Like, yeah, you could have a lot of followers, but at the end of the day, like the social media company is in charge and they can turn your account off just like that. Whereas if you have your own website and you run a blog, well, you're in control of that. Like you own that domain. That's your domain. And every time you post on a blog, on your own blog, you are expanding your own reach. You are expanding your own visibility, your own website's visibility within search engines. And I know that it might just be a drop in the bucket by comparison, but what I'm saying is content is king in that way. So just like you can attract attention on social media, I think the way that we go about social media, me personally, is really should be used as a free marketing / advertising tool. I rarely, if ever anymore, I rarely ever post anything of substance on social media sites. In other words, I don't waste my breath, my time, and my creative energy trying to craft all these creative type posts on social media sites, because quite frankly, I think that's a waste of my artistic talent. I don't think that it ever really amounts to much of anything. Whereas if I was to actually make posts and put it on my own website or publish it, save whatever it is, ideas that I have, and actually save it for a novel idea, or like say a short story or a piece of fiction, something that I can then turn around and publish and advertise and market, that would be to my own benefit and not to the benefit of technocrats, then I would consider that a win. Whereas social media is just, a lot of people get sucked into it, and I just see day after day after day people just wasted potential, so much wasted potential in social media, and it makes me sad. And I think that, like, if more people think about it, the only reason why people are wasting their time on social media is because there are people willing to waste their time creating posts on social media. Building your social media account in it is like, I put very little value on social media now, especially now that they've basically done the bait and switch, and you can't even reach half of your followers now on social media. So it's like, you'll do a post on social media and maybe it only reaches like 10-20% of your followers based on engagement. So yes, the more you engage, the more people that engage, the more people that see your posts. But getting people to engage nowadays is like, even that in it and of itself is like pulling teeth. So so it's like, why even bother? Why even bother with social media? Like, just develop your own blog, because at least at that point you won't feel like you wasted your own time, or wasted your own potential, for that matter. You put more of your I would encourage people to put less of your creative energy into making social media posts, and use more and just use social media as basically a glorified link sharing device, a link sharing tool. Sure, you might want to have something that catches people's eye, but putting so much thought and effort into social media posts, I'm telling you right now, is largely a waste of your time that could be invested in other endeavors that will yield you a lot more satisfaction in the long run when it comes to your artistic endeavors and creative endeavors. So I don't know, just something, just a topic that's been kind of swirling around in my brain lately as I continue to log in, and I see just the same faces over and over and over and over again on social media, basically just talking about nothing. You're wasting so much energy on social media and it does nothing, especially the people that go out there and they're like, follow for follow, follow for follow. Fucking waste of time, dude. Waste of time. That's what you're doing. That's a waste of time. The writers lifts, I'll do the writers lifts on there, but even the writers lifts, originally what it was doing, like just saying boost, basically the writers lift thing is like where people, you go on Twitter, you say, hey, I'm doing a writers lift, and then people will share their links in the comment section, reply to that tweet with their own, a link to their books and their projects or whatnot, which is great. That's fine. However, really what it does is it boosts the original post up in the search. So when you search under the writers lift hashtag and you see some of the top tweets, it's going to be people who have the most engagement on the tweet. So in essence, really it's marketing for the original person who tweeted on it, which is why I've put my own twist on the writers lift, and I've changed it so that it is actually turned it into a benefit for everybody who actually engages. I take the extra mile, I go the extra mile, and put together this live stream for the people who actually choose to engage. Because that's where we're moving in the future. Is it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Followers mean nothing if you're not reaching them. It literally means nothing. And people who pay attention to numbers aren't really the people that you're going to really want to be engaging with anyways, because those are very shallow individuals. They're like, oh, well, I'm not going to engage with you. You only got 100 followers. I'm not going to talk. What do you know? You only have 25 followers. Really, it's not an accurate metric for anything except people who clicked the button. You don't know why people click the button. You don't even know if it's real people clicking the button. So I'd say less focus on the button clicking and more focus on actually engaging with people online, talking, conversating, and not just like shallow, how's the weather, small talk type of business. But I mean like actually engaging, like actually coming up with ideas, sharing ideas, and not just to boost you in the algorithm, but actually to help out other people that are like you within the creative sphere. Because it's what people need to understand about the indie scene. I'm going off on a tangent tonight. You guys want to watch this? You want to. If you don't want to, you're free to leave. But I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. What I see is a lot of people, like, they're really trying to just turn the indie scene into Hollywood 2.0. And the indie scene is not Hollywood. What I mean by that is your numbers mean nothing. Your numbers mean jack all, quite frankly. Because what happens is in the indie scene is it's a peer-to-peer scenario most of the time. It's a lot of people who are involved in the indie scene are usually all artists and creators of some shape, fashion, or form. So the people who engage in the indie scene, so for instance, that may be watching my videos, maybe watching your videos if you are an indie artist, they too themselves are creators and artists. So what we need to do in the indie scene is perpetuate the idea that people need to start coming up with more ideas of how to interact with each other. If this is what we're going to do, is just be mostly online. It's not just stop like getting brainwashed into this celebrity culture nonsense. Celebrity culture is Hollywood. That only works in Hollywood. Why? Because Hollywood has this. Hollywood has money. Hollywood has marketing. Hollywood has advertising dollars. That's why Hollywood can do what Hollywood does, because it has the money to back it up. That's why a lot of these people, that's why you can see that's why you can see effectively talentless individuals rise up to fame and stardom within the Hollywood model, and rise to celebrity status, because they have money backing them. Whereas in the indie scene, it's an all hands on deck type of way of life and culture. It's a completely different culture. It's not about idolatry. That's not what the indie scene is about. So if you have this celebrity type of mentality where it's like everyone who watches you is your fans and they bow down and, be your simps and stuff like that, like that's not what the indie scene is about. The indie scene is very much about community, dare I say the word, because even that has been mucked up over the years. But that is what it is. It is a community, an interaction, a network of connected individuals that are relating with each other through the arts. And I feel like there's just a lot of people that are out here and they just swallowed the social media pill, hook, line, and sinker. And they got sucked up into this idolatry, celebrity culture, blame it on the Kardashians, whatever the hell you want to do type of mindset. But that is what it is become. And it really doesn't help when people just focus on the numbers and you're not focusing on the substance, the meat, the essence of whatever it is that you're interacting with. So I challenge you. The next time you go on social media, look at what it is that you're about to hit like on or retweet or heart or whatever you're going to do, and really stop and ask yourself, like, what is this? What am I doing here? And just think, like, how does this benefit me? Besides, like, maybe outside a random chuckle here or there, if someone, like, for instance, like sharing a meme. But don't get me started on memes. I'm not really a fan of memes. I feel like memes are just memes basically encourage people to not think. That's what memes are. They're like prepackaged thoughts that, like, kind of make people retarded in essence. But let me get off my closing in on an hour here. Let me get into this piece. No videos for this live stream, but I will say that for videos, if you want, it's not just for writing, but say if you do storytelling in the form of video format. So again, whether it be poetry, essays, storytelling, if it's a full production, like last week we had a web series, a full production storytelling web series. We featured an episode on the live stream, and that was great, very entertaining. If you missed that, you should go check that out. I do put in chapters, so it's easy to skip right to the video segment of the live stream, and at least check that out, and then check out that channel that I gave a shout out to. But anything like that. Also, tag videos. Anytime you tag me in a video, then I will address that as well. Whether it be if you're sharing any of my work on your own YouTube channel, or if you're doing an actual, like, writer's tag or book tag type video and just happen to mention me by name in the video. All right, so let's get into some reading, shall we? Who do we have here? Paul John Nelson, and this is Wattpad. So I know some of you out there probably have Wattpad accounts. I'm down with reading from the Wattpad. He has a dystopian horror for us tonight, and we are ghosts waiting to be ghosts. Interesting. And this is going to be from his story, The Girl from the Mire, by Paul Nelson, via Wattpad. Oh, we have someone here tonight. Good old Rainer, pulling through. What's up, Rainer? How you doing, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Just about to do a little reading time, my friend. Of course, I use that term loosely. From Wattpad. So anything. This can be Wattpad. It can be Kindle Vella. But like I said before, I urge you guys to start your own blogs. Usually they're pretty cheap, and I think you can have a WordPress website you can start a WordPress website for free and start your own blog that way. Wattpad, I think Wattpad is still, you have your own Wattpad site, but I'm pretty sure Wattpad is still considered a social media website. It's basically a glorified social media website for writers, if I am not mistaken. And it doesn't let me. It limits only 200 chapters. How many chapters do you need? All right. Only 200 chapters, he says. How is that even a book? That's not, that's like that. What, that's like 6 books. I mean, that's like, what is that? No, that's way more than that. It's like 30 books, right? $1,000 words per chapter. Well, yeah, I mean, give or take. I mean, I know that usually people do what, like 1,500 words, anywhere. I mean, I guess it depends. It also depends on the genre too, right? Weren't you telling me something about that? Like Chinese literature or something like that. There's like a Chinese long form type of literature that has like insane amount of chapters. Is that what you're referring to? Let's get into The Girl from the Mire by Paul Nelson. She wakes from herself. Let me get it. Oh yeah, that the Chinese web novels. That was it. Basically, like, it's not so much that it's like a book. Web novel just means that it's like serialized fiction, kind of like a Kindle Vella thing. But it just goes on and on and on and on. So it's not technically it's not like a book, but just it's a story, yes, but it's almost like a soap opera that just perpetually goes on and on. All right. The Girl from the Mire. She wakes from herself at the bottom of the mire. The murky darkness surrounds her fetal position, which is sunken beneath the muddy floor. It's like everything in her world has shifted, and the bottom is somehow no longer the top. Confusion gives way to survival. Her eyes are wide as she gasps out her drowning screams. They rise within slow motion bubbles, disintegrating from her mouth. She sinks her feet deep into the warm muck until her toes find stable ground and push off and away from the bottom. As she ascends through the water, she waves her legs back and forth in the butterfly kick while pointing her arms up toward the surface. Her eyes are water wide as her lungs plead for air. What seems like an eternal moment of looking up at silhouette arms becomes her hands finding where the sky meets the water. Her face penetrates instantly after. She takes numerous deep breaths, wheezily inhaling and coughing and exhaling until her breathing becomes relaxed in so doing. Her body calms down. She treads water easily and opens her sense to the unknown night. The marsh, as some singular autonomous being, penetrates those senses. The mire is alive with the sounds of swarming insects. Ugh. And swimming through mucky marsh water and then being surrounded by like mosquitoes once you emerge. It's the buzzing and wisping clouds of anthropods that filter out of the sundry volume of other nighttime things. Tiny anxieties with wings collect together to become the sound of one giant buzzing insect, gripping and tearing apart the focus of her mind. She watches herself in the moment as the moment watches her back, telling her that what she senses is really happening. So far, this is striking me as a very existential type piece. Everything blooms into a stench of mud and shit, along with the perfume of trees and flowers and archipelagos of prickly weeds growing in a sea of grass and dirt that the soft wind stirs together as if it's a gentle and ubiquitous, invisible crucible. It is painting the smell of intuition. Very purple prose so far. There are many other smells that she doesn't recognize. Maybe she did before whatever happened to her, before whatever unknown event dropped her memory into the abyss. Or maybe she couldn't smell them before, perhaps metaphorical. That might be why she has no taxonomy for them. Another thought is that her damaged memory still knows how to be sarcastic towards stupid thoughts versus obvious answers. She can't remember certain things because she can't remember many, many other things. She resubmerges and, like a frog, swims from the center of the pond and rises underwater into the thick muddy shore. The Meyer girl breaks above the leaded murk up to her nose, watching the darkness of a summer susurrate landscape in front of the loud insanity of her mind. She knows that she is naked under the water while kneeling in the roiled quicksand mud and hugs herself hard to then release herself and wipes her face. She is cold or warm and doesn't physically hurt in any way. She feels across her body and finds scars and bumps, but nothing stinging, nothing sore or cut, nothing to categorize as new. Her instinct is to stay in the water because she is naked and is apprehensive about her nudity. A memory haunts within the back of her mind like a word on the tip of a tongue. It just won't come out. It's something that could explain her apprehension, but she can't remember. There is a flash of the sound of bare footsteps slapping on concrete and the shame of laughter, but then it is gone in less than a second. What was that? What the fuck is going on? Where is that place? Was that me? That was me? The moments become a serpent eating its tail. I must be damaged, missing. Everything is missing from me. Who am I? How long have I been like this? She moves her head right and left, creating small ripples, and then slowly brings her water-filled ears and lips above the surface of the pond, squirting the taste of gray water from her mouth. The sounds pour into her mind as she focuses beyond the insects and the painting breeze. I'm getting this story, I'm getting very much a sense of self-actualization here. Almost like a type of rebirth type theme in this story so far. There are the sounds of music and voices vibrationally echoing and caught in the undertow of her sharpening curiosity. She catches words at first, then phrases, and then conversations. A tribulation of emotions in the form of screams and laughter and crying fill the space of her drowned mind. Someone whistles a tune, and someone argues with someone else about politics, and someone laughs horribly at someone else's humiliation, and on and on and on, until she tries to block it all out and submerges her head. She screams underwater at the voices in her skull. In the next instance, she drags herself out of the water, crawling onto the loose dirt and wet grass, and then lays down on her back. I'm alone. I'm afraid. What has happened to me? How did I get here? Why do I feel like this? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? She puts her hands, definitely some existential crisis going on here. She puts her hands over her face and screams into them as the marsh water tears spill onto her already wet cheeks. Her own shrieking sobs of frustration fill the night. When she sits up, crisscross applesauce. Crisscross applesauce? Really? I think you're breaking the tone here. When she sits up, crisscross applesauce. She witnessed a faint glimmer in the distance. That must be where the voices are coming from. Maybe they aren't in her head. It is a faraway place with people who she cannot entirely shut out no matter how hard she tries. She can't scream her blank slate away. It occurs to her as she calms down and begins to reason with herself that she remembers a lot of things like language and what specific words go with specific objects, day and night, and what a city or a marsh are. She knows that the abstract needs a material face. 1 + 1 = 2 unless you have two rectangles and place them together to make a third rectangle. And then 1 + 1 can, in abstraction, equal 3. But not that numbers aren't an abstract model of the universe. These concepts still exist in her mind, even if she can't remember herself. These concepts are now a priori to her. This is her spawning point, a beginning that seems to have extraordinary senses, for she is far away from anyone else and can somehow hear conversations. It's so funny as I read this. This story so far reminds me so much of one of my first short stories that I published since when I started writing fiction again. So much. Is eerie, is similar in many ways, I have to say. Perhaps this is the discovery of the daemon, if you will. The voices center in a mass of one loud position and seem to fade out into nothing, as if there are peripheries. The definition of insanity would be to listen to them. With her reason intact, she blocks out the bright, fuzzy white noise entirely. It is a sweet silence after the barrage of chatter. She doesn't understand how she blocks them out. It only matters that she does. She wipes the tears and mire water from her face and rubs her eyes. She stares up at the sky to find no moon dimming the stars. They are a billion bright points twinkling at her. She knows that there are remnants of what was and that the stars don't exist anymore from where the light started. But I will say that so far, yeah, thanks, Rainer. Have a good one. I will say so far that there does seem to be a lot of extended navel gazing going on here. Perhaps she knows how the stars feel, burnt out and yet continuing. I am the withering light of a dead star, and yet I feel like I am free to become whatever I want. She remembers this feeling of strength folded layer upon layer, like armor, and wraps it around herself like an invisible blanket. Almost raises the question, so what? So what? So what's the point of this? She could remain in anxiety and confusion, but in this moment, she decides to get up and run. The Meyer girl jolts through the grass and along banks of powdery dirt and liquid mud. She jumps over short brush and cattails into the dull, leaden liquid to breaststroke underwater until she crawls out onto another embankment. There is more sloppy mud that becomes dusty dirt, and then thick, wet grass. The Meyer girl crushes weeds and flowers under feet, turning her soles a mixture of green and brown. Not once does she become physically tired while on her naked adventure through the mire, though she still breathes hard and her heart still pumps at light speed. Eventually, she stops running, bends over, and places her grass-stained hands on her dirt-stained knees. She brings her head up and witnesses the ominous distance of the faint light reflecting off the sky. She stands up straight and can see the silhouette of a city. Light reflects off of the sky at what seems to be the center of it. Most of the city, or at least the parts that she can see from where she is, exists in a lurking darkness. She realizes that her destination is the pitch-black edifices in front of her. The marsh will soon become concrete and sharp-edged metal, so she will need to find clothes and shoes when she gets there. That is the end of part 1. So we have this mystery girl, naked. She was dumped in a marsh, has no memory, and comes out of the marsh and sees that she is on the outskirts of a city. And that is what was accomplished in part 1 or chapter 1 or episode 1, however you want to slice it. So I'll leave the link if that interests you guys. You want to continue on with this story and see where this leads. And that's it for me this week. And I hope I said something to stimulate some thought. And I hope you guys are inspired to become a little bit more creative and or pursue your creative endeavors. Feel emboldened, if you will. And I encourage you, join me Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Every Monday night where I boot up this live stream so we all can come together, readers and writers alike. And I will be here for you guys next week. Cheers.